Well, hello there. Back once again to see what I'm cooking. And guess what? More bread. Today's loaf comes to us from the psychologist Jonathan Haidt, and it goes a little something like this. Events in the world affect us only through our interpretation of them. So if we can control our interpretation, we can control our world. So once again, this is a familiar tune. I'm sure you've heard me sing it more times than I can count. Our interpretation of the world is more important than the world itself. And in fact, our emotional reactions stem not from the world, but our interpretation. So, as Jonathan Haidt says, if we can control our interpretations, then in essence, we can control our world. Now, I don't mean that you can control the actual material world itself, but your personal world, your version of the world, your personal reality, if you will, you can control that if you will control your interpretations. Easy, right? Of course, doing that is a totally different story, but at least the path is laid out nicely in this quote. It's clear. If you have a goal and it's clear like this, then you can start to research and you can start to explore and you can start to figure out ways to make it happen. But if you don't know what the goal is, it's going to be really hard to achieve. So don't try to control the world. Don't try to control things which are beyond your control, which you are powerless to change. Instead, focus on something you can change. Your perspective, your interpretations. And the paradox is that by doing this, you actually exert more control over the world than if you try to control the world directly. You see how it works? Stop trying to control things that are beyond your power. Focus on your interpretation. But then by doing that, you actually exert more influence and more power over the things that you can't control than you would have otherwise. It's called the law of reversed effort. And I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it once or twice before, but really what it comes down to is that in many ways, in order to achieve our goals in life, we actually have to do things that are counterintuitive. Alan Watts describes this in the best way possible. When he's talking about the law of reversed efforts in his book, The Wisdom of Insecurity, he says, when you hold your breath, you lose your breath. When you try to hold on to the water, you sink. In order to breathe, you have to let your breath go. In order to float, you have to surrender to the water. So there are so many situations in life and so many goals in life that fall under this category. For instance, if your goal is to be happy, most people will attempt to chase happiness. Yet this is precisely what makes us unhappy. The truth is that you're already happy. All you have to do is get out of the way and let your happiness ensue. We create problems for ourselves, and then we attempt to resolve those problems even though they're not actually real. The problems are fabrications of the mind, and by believing in them, we are actually creating more problems than the problems themselves. Are there negative situations in life? Absolutely. Are there situations that you should change if you can? 100%. But these are not problems. These are just situations. They're a mixed bag. Some are favorable, some are to be avoided. But at the end of the day, if we don't view them as problems and we just view them as situations that need to be addressed, then we can actually think more clearly and do better work at resolving whatever the issue is, whatever the situation. So this is what I mean. By focusing instead on your interpretation and your perspective, you gain advantages over the situation that you wouldn't have had if you had viewed the situation as a problem. So it's really just on how you look at it. And by looking at it the right way, you stack the deck in your favor. You hedge your bets. That's all I got for this one. Hopefully it's enough for you. Hopefully it fills up your belly. And if not, tune in tomorrow and I'll have another loaf for you, fresh out of the oven. Thanks for watching and live well, my friends.